I learned this from Mr. Gaida as a young coach back when I first got out of college. There's no sweeter sound to a kid than hearing their own name. And so when you're coming down the hallway, it's not, hey, how are you? It's, hey, Tyler, how you doing? Mark, what are you doing this afternoon? Like every kid get to know their name. And I don't know if there's been a class that I've had since I've heard that from him where I don't get every single kid, And then now it gets hard when they graduate and all of a sudden, all right, did you graduate in 2016, 2018? You all start to run together. That piece gets hard, but when you're in it, it's you try and get to know. I think all the good teachers out there in our Navy profession, there's good, there's bad, there's everywhere in between. But the ones that really care, I think the name piece is a pretty powerful thing.
Simple but extremely effective.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Steven Racek, one of the owners and coaches here at Forge Fitness. A lot of people ask, what do we do here? Well, we focus on your longevity, meaning we focus on your health and the quality of your life as you age. So by the time you get to the end of your life, we want you to be able to do things that you want to do and enjoy. We take a lot of pride in the community that we've built, knowing that our members come for a great workout, but they stick around because of the community and friendships that they have. If interested in joining us at Forge, we offer a 7-day free trial. And you can find us at www.forgefitness.co, or you can find us on Facebook or Instagram.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of the Buffalo Community Podcast. We have with us a man who doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. Buffalo High School graduate, head boys basketball coach, Phi-Ed teacher at BHS, Josh Ortmann. Thank you so much for coming in and giving us some time here on a Friday.
Yeah, happy to be here. Excited. We've seen a lot of different episodes that you guys have put on with your podcast, so pretty excited when I got the email and said, let's make it happen.
Sweet. Nice. Awesome. Well, hey, for those who don't know you, I've given an ultra high level, but why don't you dive in a little deeper, who you are, where you're from, and where you're at?
Yeah, so Josh Ortmann, graduated from Buffalo High School 2007. Kind of had a little different journey here to Buffalo. We was born down in Burnsville, actually, and then my parents are from southwestern Minnesota. And we're looking to get out of the cities and kind of raise a family somewhere else. So then when I was in, I think it was kindergarten or first grade, moved to Buffalo and actually graduated high school with Tyler's younger brother, Mac. And and so grew up there and kind of made my way through and obviously went to high school here and then went to St. Cloud State after that. Was fortunate enough to play basketball and get my teaching degree there. And then had really no intentions of coming back to Buffalo at all, actually. My initially out of college, the job I really wanted was a job out in Chanhassen, and there's a long story behind that. But then
we got time.
This is super long story short. Buffalo was kind of the first place to offer me a teaching job, and kind of been here ever since.
Right.
So,
well, we love having you back in town.
Yeah.
So you get in Buffalo, you're teaching. You end up being the head coach. What's been your coaching journey into where you are now?
Yeah, kind of no intentions with that. It just kind of worked out the way that it did. Back in 2011, 2012, was doing my student teaching at Maple Lake Elementary, and then ended up coaching high school basketball here at Buffalo at the 9th grade level. Under Coach Gaida, who was my high school coach. So that was a pretty cool experience. Mm-hmm. And then my brother, Sam, was actually going through the program at the time too. So that was fun as well, just being able to be around him more and having that opportunity and whatnot. And yeah, so then 4 years later, Mr. Gaida ended up going the admin route and kind of sat all of us assistant coaches down, kind of told us the route he was looking at doing, kind of how things played out, hoped that all of us assistants applied for it. And come full circle with it back in 2016, I ended up getting the job, and the rest has kind of been history. Like, it's been a blast, like very fortunate to have what we have here. And you guys know this, being Buffalo people as well, like it's a special place. And just having the opportunity to give back to the community that did so much for us growing up. People always talk about is the grass really isn't always greener somewhere else. Like, you look at different places and you go to a basketball game in the middle of February on a Tuesday night, there's 2,000 people in the crowd. Mm-hmm. You go to a Saturday night basketball game in the MIAC Division III basketball, and there's 20 people in the crowd. And like you really start to realize how good we have it here and what type of backing we have. And it's just been a blast. It's been really enjoyable, very fortunate for myself. I've had the opportunity to coach alongside some of my other high school coaches with Joel Squadroni, Ross Meldy, Jason Sorensen. And those three in particular were all around when I was going through. And pretty impactful people where when you're a young coach and you can be surrounded by them, you're going to have a chance to do some nice things and handle different things that come up probably more appropriately than you would handle it if you were just brand new and kind of on your own getting going.
Sure.
You're really good at name dropping.
I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing.
No, it's really great. So you said did you think you're going through college, you're playing in college, you didn't think you were going to end up coaching, or it was always on the back burner, or this just happened?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever wanted to be a head coach. I knew that the most impactful people in my life were my high school health and phy ed teachers and my coaches that I was around. And so that's kind of what got me in the health and phy ed route as far as the teaching piece goes to it. And then with the coaching piece, the more I continued to learn from the people above me and that I played for myself, the more I just kind of kept falling in love with it. And oftentimes you get the question, are you more of like a Coach Gaida? Are you more of a Coach Schlegel, who's my college coach, or what type are you? And you try and take the goods from both of them and blend it into your own personality and hopefully give the kids an experience that it's something 20 years from now they want to reflect back on and get them back into coaching and get them giving back similarly to kind of what I've had the opportunity to do.
Yep. So I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but we're going to talk about it because we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't. 2007 was a pretty special year, and you were able to play a big part of that. And I think it probably, if I look back, is you talk about the support of the Buffalo community and the backing that the basketball program has. I think you could probably point back to that, and here we are almost 20 years later. Talk about winning a state championship. Very few people get to do that. I played 3 sports throughout my career, never sniffed anything close to, section championship. But anyway, we won't talk about 98.
He brings that up every other episode.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that was pretty unique about that is, one, I've learned very, very quickly as a coach. I don't think we realized when we were players kind of what we did until now that you're coaching and you realize how difficult that really is. Let win a playoff game, let alone go win 6 playoff games and end up having that be a state. That's really hard to do, especially being the small fish in the big pond that Buffalo is, where we're kind of that small community, but we're big enough to be with all the big dogs. And now all of a sudden it's like you're not compared to Monticello, you're compared to Wayzata, Minnetonka, Edina. And you look at different opportunities that different communities bring. It was special. It was cool. But really, you don't remember much of the game. I remember Darren's shot. That was unbelievable. To have him do what he did and the camaraderie piece of it. But I do remember different things we did when we were hanging out in the hotel and then going through warm-ups of that state championship game. And all of a sudden you look up and 3/4, and I got goosebumps talking about it right now. 3/4 of that target center was literally purple. And that's not an exaggeration. And then I believe that was the first state tournament where they ended up opening up the upper level because there was so many Buffalo people there. And Armstrong had, to their credit, they had a good crowd too. But you talk about community backing, and when something good starts to happen, the type of support you have, I mean, it's unbelievable. And then to look at, and you don't judge success based on wins and losses, but I think Coach Gaida's first year, they were coming off of a 4-21 season. And then 4 years later, I think we were 28-3 or something like that. And there's a lot of things that have to go into that progression. And you got to get a little lucky. 2, you got to have the right pieces. And 3, things just kind of work out the way that they do. So, it was cool. But more so than anything, you barely remember the game, but you definitely remember the atmosphere and kind of everything, the aura around it. And then coming back into Buffalo, and it's probably 11 o'clock at night, and the whole town is fire trucks and sirens, and
Yeah.
like it was sweet. Like
Yeah.
it really was.
Yeah, I think that's a common, I can say that for myself, looking back at my athletic career, what you remember is almost, you might remember the result of a game, but it's the practices, it's the bus rides, it's the hotel rooms,
Right.
it's it's amazing. You do this, you realize why you played sports when you don't remember much of the game,
Right.
but you still cherish it. You
Right.
still like love and miss every moment that brought.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things that the three of us all here would agree on is when you start talking, like all of us are in different leadership positions in one way, shape, or form, whether it's running a business, whether it's your job, your title, whatever it be. But like not one of us can probably list off 20 different games of what happened when we were 10, 11, 12 years old, right? But every single one of us can remember how every single one of those coaches made us feel, right? Or how every single one of those leaders made you feel as a player or as a student or whatever it be. And so when you start talking the coaching piece of it and why you get into coaching and why you do some of that is because you remember the people that really made that impact. And it's when I was 25 years old in 2016 trying to figure out how to be a head coach, I cared about wins and losses. And now you come full circle with it. Yeah, the wins and losses are great, but like you really focus on the environment and how you make the kids feel, because at the end of the day, when they get married and they have kids, that's what they're going to bring on to their kids with their experience and whatnot.
Yeah. What drives you? I mean, what drives you as a coach, as a teacher? What kind of keeps you coming back with the passion and the energy that we feel behind you right now?
We only get one shot at this thing, right? Like I'm going to get deep here, but like
Do it.
We get to live once here. And I mean, if we're going to do it, like we all get choices. You can wake up and be pissed off at the world, or you can wake up and go get something done with your day. And so when you start talking about like every day on that drive into work to school, one of the things I always say to myself, make a positive impact on one kid today, just one. It doesn't matter who it is, but you look at if you teach 30, 40 years, if you can make a positive impact on one kid every day, think of how that can accumulate over a whole teaching career and what that can do for that kid. And I think a lot of times in the fight and health world, the misconception gets, oh, you're only worried about athletes and those types of kids. Some of the rewarding piece is when you take that I hate PE kid day one, and then by the time they're leaving Buffalo High School, it's I enjoy to walk, I enjoy to move, I enjoy to do different things, and coming down to the gym isn't such a scary thing anymore. And so when you start talking about what drives you, it's that kind of stuff, right? It's the competition and the competitiveness with the coaching side of it. That's one world. But then the real life side of it is a whole nother. When you take that, what's one of the best medications for anxiety and depression? Guess what? It's exercise. And let's get people falling in love with moving their body. And so, yeah, and that's kind of cliche, kind of weird, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, yeah. Have you seen like throughout your teaching and coaching career? Have you? A lot of people talk about kids these days, right? And I don't like that. I see kids making huge positive impacts, but have you had to change things? I mean, I know you're always looking to get better and adapting. Have you seen a change from where things started to where you're at now? Talk about.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger things you see is, and you hear it from so many different lenses, the whole instant gratification piece, right? And part of that is the kids these days. Well, who's enabling that? Well, kind of us adults, right? Maybe because they don't have that instant gratification if it's not us giving them that instant gratification. Right. And so as far as how things have evolved and changed, there's definitely that piece of it. But the one thing I've seen that's a pretty powerful thing, a 15-year-old boy or girl is a 15-year-old boy or girl. And like every one of them is moldable, right? And you just keep continuing to try and put a positive experience or something good in their day in and day out. And eventually, like the light switch flips and they all grow up. And I remember when I first started teaching middle school, one of the frustrations was the role models of the school are these 8th grade boys and girls. Well, guess what? Not a knock. 8th grade boys and girls, you guys are mean. Like you guys can be mean. Like, that's hard, and that's what 6th and 7th graders see, right?
Right.
Well, then all of a sudden you get to high school, and now the role models of the building are these seniors in high school, and it's, what am I going to do with my life, and where am I going to work, and what do I want to do? Do I want to start a family? Do I want to do X, Y, or Z? And these 9th graders mature pretty dang quick. And where I give our administration such a pat on the back, for lack of a better term, is the goal of Buffalo High School isn't to get a 32 on your ACT. The goal is be kind, proud, driven leaders, right? And when you can start instilling that into the high school students, now all of a sudden, like, it becomes more than just school, and the building itself becomes more than just the book or the work beside it. And so, yeah, I mean, things have changed, but we've all changed. Cell phones is a big hot topic, and we got to take cell phones away from kids. And I agree, I'd love to take cell phones away from the kids. And guess what? All 4 of us in this room right now have our cell phone on us, right? Yeah. We're just as guilty as the kids are. And so it's such a twofold piece that you just work with what we have. And at the end of the day, kids are kids, and they want to leave each day knowing that they feel valued and are a part of something, rather than this is just a place to go to every day.
Yeah. Man, I love to hear that passion. I got a weird question. Are you the type of teacher that learns all their students' names and throughout the end of the year? And I mean, you're at the high school. I mean, there's a few hundred in each class.
Yeah. You fortunately, being a health and phy ed teacher, every 9th and 10th grader has to come through our area. And so we get to see just about every single kid. But, and I'm going to name drop again, but I learned this from Mr. Gaida as a young coach back when I first got out of college. There's no sweeter sound to a kid than hearing their own name. And so when you're coming down the hallway, it's not, hey, how are you? It's, hey, Tyler, how you doing? Mark, what are you doing this afternoon? Like, every kid get to know their name. And I don't know if there's been a class that I've had since I've heard that from him where – I don't get every single kid, you know. And then now it gets hard when they graduate, and all of a sudden, all right, did you graduate in 2016, 2018? You all start to run together. That piece gets hard, but when you're in it, it's you try and get to know. I think all the good teachers out there in our profession, there's good, there's bad, there's everywhere in between. But the ones that really care, I think the name piece is a pretty powerful thing.
Simple but extremely effective.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Go for it, Tyler.
All right. Family.
Yeah.
I was going to ask the same question. So.
Well, I'll ask it.
Yeah.
Family.
Right now we're rolling. We got a 6-year-old boy who's into everything at home and is loving life and loves going to school every day. We got a 1-year-old daughter, and she is the queen of the world, and it's her world, and we live in it. And she makes sure everybody knows that.
Congrats.
But I'm kind of in a unique situation. So when we grew up, all of my grandparents lived 3+ hours away, and so you got to see Grandpa and Grandma on Christmas, Easter, maybe Thanksgiving, and maybe a time or two in the summer. And so, like, none of us cousins and aunts and uncles, and we're close, but, like, we're not very close, right? And so when I met my wife in college, we were trying to figure out, like, where do we want to be? What do we want to be doing? And I was like, I kind of want to be at least within an hour of where my parents live, because I didn't get to have that same relationship that I hope my kids have with their grandparents. And long story short, my wife's from Andover, Minnesota, and she's about 45 minutes away from home, and we're here in Buffalo, and all 5 of my brothers, so there's 6 of us total, are all kind of within the Twin Cities area. And my brother, I have 2 in Buffalo, 1 in Annandale, 1 in Howard Lake, and 1 in Minneapolis. And the cousins definitely get to see each other a ton, which is a blast. And then the first week of August here, we go up to Park Rapids kind of as a family with a bunch of in-laws and everyone, and we rent out some cabins for the week, and the kids just go at it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They just go at it.
And just stay out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
brother Andy is head coach.
Head coach at Annandale, December
Annandale.
28th. Giddy
Big
up.
shoes.
Let's go.
Big shoes.
10 p.m.
Big shoes to fill out there in Annandale
Yes, he does.
for him. But basketball runs in the family, obviously, and
Yeah.
is an important
Well,
piece.
you guys will appreciate this. So all growing up,
December 28th is my birthday, by the way.
oh,
so
and it's Buffalo Annandale.
Yeah.
Like we're going at it. I like
yeah.
it.
So
But
if you want to plan something for my birthday at
put it
halftime,
around
maybe
you.
or something.
I like it.
Yeah.
Give you a little shout out.
Yeah.
But my dad was a big time wrestler down in Windham, Minnesota, and so I think growing up he was bound and determined. Every single one of us were going to be wrestlers.
State champs.
We went to every single wrestling camp, and I remember crying on the mat every single time. Like, what are we doing here? And not one of us ended up wrestling.
No.
And so yeah, my brother Andy, he's now the head coach over at Annandale. He's been there for the bulk of his teaching career, and super excited for him. They got a heck of a program over there. Skip Dolan has been an unbelievable mentor for him, and they're gonna have a really, really good team this year. And so I joke around about December 28th, but who knows how long we both get to be head coaches for. So
Right.
we're gonna play each other at their place, our place, and rotate it every year. And so they're coming to Buffalo December 28th, right after Christmas there, and that'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got to make sure this episode gets released before December 28th.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it'll happen. It'll happen. It'll definitely happen. Yeah, we sat down right before we started pushing record, and just kind of said, speak what you're passionate about. And I think you've done that, and it hasn't. I think people would be surprised when they think of, Ortmann, and then it's basketball, and they would think it's all basketball and everything. But I think you went pretty deep, few layers deep, pretty quickly. And I think as man to man, dad to dad, human to human, I think that's really special for you. And every time I get to hear you talk, I'm just in awe. And I don't tell this to everybody, that comes in on the
That's very
podcast.
nice
So
of you.
I'm honored to know you and hear these stories. And I feel so confident that every time we have an educator in here, that Buffalo's in a good spot to bring these kids through. And with all the chaos in the world, I'm very confident that and thankful that we've got people like you in our community teaching the kids.
Oh, and that's what I think is so cool with you guys doing this is and we're all Buffalo people here, so we're biased, but you're right. There's chaos everywhere, and it's so easy to point out the problem with everywhere you go, where there's something wrong with that school or something wrong with that business or something, whatever it be. And you're right. Like, we all have an opportunity. You can be part of the problem or part of the solution. And there's a lot of really, really, really good people in front of all of our kids every single day within the school district. And then what's so cool about Buffalo is, and I'm going to put a plug for Buffalo because I think everyone should raise their family here, is you're going to go down and you're going to go in the grocery store and you're going to know people and you're going to talk to people. And at the same token, like it just has this, this isn't a bedroom community. There's roots here.
Right.
And I don't think you can say that about every community. And fortunately, we get to live it every day with our families, and not everyone gets that opportunity.
That's why I'm glad the freeway doesn't run through Buffalo.
Right.
It's close enough.
Right.
It's just right over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And when you say you go to the store, and it's why if something needs to get done quickly,
It doesn't.
I don't go to the grocery store.
It doesn't. Yeah.
And if I bring my kids with me to Target, grocery store, or whatever, it's like, we came here for two things, and it's just chatting or running into somebody. So I might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I adore that part of this community, having grew up here and planted my roots here and raising my family here.
My wife and I always give her a hard time because she grew up in Andover, and when she first came to Buffalo, you would have thought we were going to North Dakota, and where in the world are we? There wasn't a Kohl's within 20 miles, and life was over. Right? You would have thought that. And she's all big on the got to do the pickup orders. You get in, pick it up, and leave. And then I'm like, well, we got to bring the kids in. They need to learn how to shop, and it's the experience piece of it. And
I might see somebody I know.
Yeah, and so the kids definitely get two different worlds when it comes to running errands and doing that piece of it.
That's such a funny thing because we're in the big school conferences.
Yep.
And it's really tough to compete because they've got way more students to pull from. And that's been my observation. But you talk to those ones, and it's like Hickville out there. I'm like,
Right.
we are 26 minutes away from Maple Grove,
Correct.
32 minutes from, Minnetonka High School, with, you hit the lights, right? But it's just like, come on, we're not that far out.
Yeah.
But
No,
then we probably feel
it's-
the same way about like Paynesville.
Right, right.
know.
But you try and get some, without singling communities out, but get some teams out here that are 35 miles towards the cities of the Edinas of the world. It's like you can get to Buffalo faster than you can probably get to Lakeville. And
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, like if you plan it out right.
Yeah.
And it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
But
Right. But it's funny that your wife had that thought, like, ooh, this is way out here.
oh, she still thinks we are, but she loves it, and so she loves
Good.
it here.
That's good.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything final that you want to tell to all 250,000 of our viewers?
Oh, I thought it was up to 300,000.
No,
But
it was
we're-
we're gonna get
250,000
there.
from day one.
And it just hasn't increased yet.
We've kind of plateaued.
No, I don't got much more. This is great. We appreciate everything you guys do. I think more people follow and watch these podcasts than you guys maybe realize, and so it's pretty neat to get that email from you, Mark. And thanks for reaching out. And we're happy to be here and happy to do it.
Well, we're going to do this again sometime, and maybe get the traditional season preview or something
I like
like
it.
that, and we'll get you back in here, and it's been fun. So
Good deal. Well, thank you.
For the Buffalo Community Podcast, I'm Tyler Reese.
I'm Mark Benzer.
Josh Ortmann.
Boom.
Thanks for listening to the Buffalo Community Podcast, produced by Edlin Media. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube, as well as anywhere you listen to podcasts.